This is my first Substack Live. Sorry, I'm trying to get my screen right here. Um, and so if you are live with me here now, hi, it's great to see you. If you are getting this later in my email, hi, it's good to see you too. Happy last day of summer, if you can say such a thing. Is there such a thing as happy last day of summer? So I am very, very excited because I have not really talked about Beach House Rules much with spoilers. So if you're watching the replay of this or you're watching it now and you have not read Beach House Rules yet and you're planning on it, you might want to duck out now because I'm going to be telling you all kinds of fun, spoilery things. So I've been waiting a long time to talk about this, and it's always really exciting to get to share spoilers at the end. It's one of my favorite parts. So, huge thank you to everyone who has already read Beach House Rules. I can't believe it's been out for almost 4 months. It's kind of hard to believe. I feel like I was just out on tour, seeing everybody in person and getting to sign all of your books. And it was such a great summer. And now moving on. Time for a new season, right? So I'm going to dive right in. The first thing that I wanted to tell you guys is that some of you might have heard me talk about how I got the idea for this book. And what I have said, without spoilers, is that I got the idea from something that I saw in the media, which was true. I kept seeing all of these articles and interviews and things about mommunes all year long. I mean, all summer long. But when the story kind of hit me and came to me at first, I thought it would be really neat to talk about a mommune and how, it sounds like this great, happy thing, but then there's a little bit of a twist. So in the first draft that I wrote of this novel, there is actually an ongoing storyline where the Juniper Shores socialite posts are now, where Iris has been kidnapped. And so for the reader or for the cast of characters in the book sort of think that Alice is the one that kidnapped Iris, but we know as the readers that Iris and Alice have actually both been kidnapped. So I will be honest, I really liked that storyline. It was kind of neat. It was something brand new that I've never done before. And it kind of worked my brain in a different way to figure out, okay, how would someone commit this crime? And then how would it look like maybe Alice had committed it even if she hadn't? And so I really like the idea of pulling her past into question and all of that. But ultimately, I decided it was maybe a little dark, a little too much of a departure from what I had done before. And so I thought, well, the purpose of those sections obviously was kind of for you to call into question, who you trusted in this house and who you didn't. But also it was sort of served the same purpose, believe it or not, as the Juniper Shores socialite posts, because these were these were the sections of the book where we got to find out what the town was saying about the women that lived inside of the mommune and the children that lived inside of the mommune. So, believe it or not, taking out the kidnapping and adding in the Juniper Shores socialite post actually kind of served the same purpose, which was really bizarre, but somehow ended up working. And I feel like it made everything a lot lighter and maybe a lot more fun and kind of more in keeping with the other books that I've written. It definitely felt like more of a beach read at that point, as opposed to it got a little too thrillery there with the kidnapping. But like I said, it was really fun for me to write. So the other thing that you guys have potentially heard me say, if you've heard me talk about this book. So if you're just joining us, I will remind you, we're just talking about all the spoilers tonight, all the spoilery things. I have some questions you guys have already submitted that are going to have some spoilers too. So if you're here and you haven't read Beach House Rules yet, you might want to click off because I'm going to tell you a lot about what happens in the end. But I've said at a lot of the events that I've done and, lives and interviews that I wrote the book two different ways. One where Bill was guilty and one where Bill was innocent. And that was a very interesting process for me. I owe a tremendous debt of gratitude to my husband's cousin's wife, Amy, who is a federal prosecutor and really helped me devise this crime and helped me prove Bill innocent and prove Bill guilty. But so the first time I wrote the book, Bill was guilty. And obviously, making Bill guilty gave this book a very, very different outcome than we ultimately had in the end. But I think initially I thought, oh, well, the point of this story is all of these women kind of coming together under one roof and like forming this new kind of family. But then once I was finished with the first draft, I sort of thought, or maybe the point is that these women come together and help launch each other into the next part of their life, into the next piece of their puzzle. And I kind of liked the idea of that. So we had to kind of go back to the drawing board and go through, what it would look like for Bill to look guilty, but actually be innocent, which is really no small feat. I like, wow, if you're going to perpetrate fraud and pin it on somebody else, you got to be really smart. Um, so I was like, this is really something because it was very easy to prove him guilty and it was harder to prove him innocent and make it look like he was guilty. But again, also a lot of fun. It kind of like stretched a muscle for me that I haven't really used before. And I really enjoyed like being able to put that crime into the story and really like think about the story in a new way. Um, and I knew I wanted Iris's point of view to be a part of this story. I was very interested in the idea of how teenagers handle crises. And, I think teenagers kind of get a bad rap. And I sort of leaned into that stereotype a little bit with these characters where, when something goes wrong for them, they're still capable of, being pretty selfish, honestly. But I think that teenagers are so good at protecting themselves and that Iris's like self-protective mechanisms really kick in this book in an interesting way. And I loved the idea of having Iris be like the little sleuth that solves the crime, even though, the FBI is already on it, but it's really fun. Oh, I love seeing you guys here. Thank you for joining me on Substack here tonight. Um, Okay, well, just a reminder, if you have any questions or comments or anything that you want to talk about, leave them. You can send me a message because I can see those. I do have a couple of questions that people sent in beforehand. So this one is from Catherine H. And it is, how did you choose the POVs? Which is a really, really good question. Oh, and did you ever think about having one of the other characters be a main point of view character? So yes, actually. Oh, hi, Karen Means. How are you? Um, I did think about it. So when I start out a story, I usually have either a character or two characters or three characters or more kind of in my head, that I like I'm kind of like toying with their point of view before I even um, like sit down to start writing. And so for this book, it was definitely Alice. Like I knew Alice was going to be the Black Widow. I knew Alice was going to be kind of feel at odds with her community and feel like they were sort of ostracizing her for things that really weren't her fault. And that she would have, a lot of complicated feelings about that as one would, I would suppose. So I knew right away that Alice was going to be a main character. And in fact, I originally started the book with Alice because she was sort of the first voice in my head and kind of got to know her a little bit before I even got to know the other characters. And so Charlotte obviously is, the person that all of these things are happening to. And so it was obvious to me that she would, that she would be a main POV character. But originally I played around with the idea of having Julie's point of view in this book. So if you remember, Julie is the newspaper reporter who's Alice's niece. And I thought it could be kind of interesting to see her as like the voice of the people sort of reporting on this. But then, I don't know, just the idea of her like talking about the people inside her own house and all of that just um, I don't know, it just felt wrong to me in some ways. And so I decided not to do that. But um, Iris was kind of a surprise. I wasn't really necessarily planning on hearing from Iris, but I think just as I got into the story and I was thinking about all of these characters and, who would be the most interesting to hear from, I love the idea of having a different generation and a different point of view than we would necessarily have had, from just having the women that were kind of all adults. So I love that sort of teenage point of view. Maybe it's because I'm raising a teenager and I think they're like really interesting. I don't know. That's probably what it is. Um, but so yeah, I definitely thought about and actually so Grace was a teeny tiny character in A Happier Life, my book last year. And there's my main character, Keaton, is working on a book called Growing with Grace with a major mommy blogger influencer. Named Grace, obviously. And so I took that string and put Grace in. And Grace was really interesting to me too, especially when it came to this whole idea of reality versus perception, because I think Grace is the ultimate example of reality versus perception and what we think and what we see and what's actually going on and what's actually happening, because she does exist in that sort of influencer world. And she's very clear about the fact that people think one thing about her, but she's living her life a very different way. And so I just thought that was interesting. And I thought about delving into that from her point of view, but I thought it was just too many points of view. And as I mentioned, I did originally start the book with Alice. And if you've read the book, hopefully you've read the book since I'm spoiling it for you left and right here. But you don't actually hear from Alice now until about a quarter of the way into the book. Simply because I find Alice to be lovable. That doesn't mean that everybody else does, but I find her to be kind of that like wounded bird. And I couldn't really, once I started writing her, I couldn't really imagine her killing her husbands, right? So I thought, well, if we hear a lot about her, then before we hear from her, then maybe we'll have a more complicated relationship with whether she's innocent or whether she's guilty. So if you're just joining us, hi guys, thanks. I'm seeing a lot of people coming in. We are talking about Beach House Rules and we are talking a lot of spoilers. So if you're here live or you're listening to the replay, this will be replayed and it'll be sent out to my email. So if you came in late and you missed the beginning, that's totally fine. But if you're here and you haven't read Beach House Rules and you're planning on it, I'm really giving a lot of spoilers. And if anybody has a question or a comment or something they want to share with the group, let me know in the messages and I'll be happy to share. Unless it's mean, and then I probably won't share it with the group. Just kidding. Okay. This is a good question. No one's asked me this. Okay, so Sandra said, did you think when you were writing the book that Jeremy had killed the other husbands? That's a really good question. So obviously, we find out at the end that Jeremy, Alice's first husband, is kind of the one who has set Bill up and that he's like at the center of this entire sort of plot that like brings these women together, that puts them in this situation, and that all of those times that Alice kind of imagined she was seeing him places she actually was because he was actually alive. And that was I will say that was like a nerve-wracking choice to have him kind of come back because that's something I've never done before. I think part of it is because I feel like I get people news alerts all day long, and I feel like half of them are people like faking their death. And I'm like, wow, this is like really happening. People do this a lot. Like, wouldn't it be easier to just like, I don't know, leave your wife? I mean, it's just bizarre to me. But anyway, but I think that was just on my mind because I kept reading about it again, like something I kept seeing in the media. And I thought, well, this is possible. People do it. People have done it. People escape and change their identity. And, they've committed crimes that kind of they never can get accused of because they're gone. And so I'm going to be totally honest. I read the book that way from the very first draft. That was always like a part of it, was that Jeremy was the one that was behind all of this. But I 100% thought my editor was going to be like, you can't do that. Like that's a bridge too far for you. Your readers won't go along with you there. And so I was completely like already coming up with a plan B about, who did this and why and how. And I got my edits back and she didn't even mention it. And I was like, she didn't even mention it. And we were on the phone and I said, well, were you going to say anything to me about Jeremy? And she was like, no, I really thought that his being alive was the only way to redeem Alice. And I was like, yes, that's exactly what I said. One of these men has to be alive. It's the only way to fully redeem Alice. And so, yes, in short, I definitely thought about, could Jeremy have killed the other husbands? And I think that's like definitely a possibility, but I kind of didn't have time to delve into that. So maybe if I ever write a sequel, like maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I don't really know, but I think it's definitely a possibility. Or it could have just been, a sad series of events that poor Alice has had to deal with. I will tell you guys, my very first event was in Greensboro, North Carolina for this book. It was like launch day. I went to this luncheon and I get up and I'm talking about the book for like really probably the very first time, at least the first time live. And a woman came up to me after and she was like, "My name is Alice and I have 3 dead husbands and I did not kill any of them." And I was like, "Oh my gosh." Like this poor woman probably thinks I wrote her story, but I thought that was kind of singular. Can't even imagine. Oh, this is a good one too. Okay, so Kim says, "I've seen the TV news about the summer of songbirds. Anything brewing with beach house rules?" Um, do you think what I could say about this? So Y yes. Nothing, like, official, but we definitely, we're in negotiations with someone, I'll say that. So, it's someone great, it's someone that I love, that y'all be really excited about, I think, that I think will really, really do this book justice, that I think really kinda got it. And more than any of my other books ever, I felt like I could see this one kind of being on TV or being a movie or something like that. So, hopefully that will work out, but that's a really good question. So lots of fun stuff on that side going on. Okay, and so if nobody else has any more questions about beach house rules, I think I've trying to think if there are any more like secret spoilery things. Oh, I know one of the things I was going to say. A lot of people have asked me if I knew who Juniper Shore Socialite was going in. And I did not because I had actually written the whole book. As I said at the beginning, if you weren't here, I had written the whole book and had this like kidnapping storyline that I completely took out and instead put in all these Juniper Shore Socialite posts. So I had no idea who Juniper Shore Socialite was. And at different times in the book, I really thought, oh, it's this person or it's this person or it's this person. And I know probably some of you are writers out there and this might resonate with you, but sometimes I'll have like something that I'm trying to solve in my own story that I'm not really sure of. And when I go back and read through, I realize that I've left myself like this little trail of breadcrumbs and I didn't even know it. So when I went back through the draft, I was like, well, it's obviously Merritt. There were like 4 different touches like in the book that I was like, oh my gosh, it has to be Merritt. So, um, I thought about it being everyone, at some point, and a lot of people guessed Emma, and that was a really good one. I could definitely see it being her, but, she would have been kind of like maybe someone that you didn't necessarily suspect. Some people thought it was Elliot, which I actually think would have been really good. But, I don't know, but then I needed Alice to just have her unencumbered love story and not have any complications there. So Merritt seemed like the best choice, for that. So I was going to talk a little bit about fall reads, and I wanted to see what you guys were reading. So let me know in the chat if you can what you are reading, and I'll tell you, well, where are my best fall reads? Okay. Well, I just finished 2 books that are so amazing that you absolutely cannot miss. The first is The Academy by Ellen Hildebrand, which you guys have probably all already read. It just came out like maybe last Tuesday, but this is a book that Ellen wrote with her daughter Shelby Cunningham, and it is about a fictional boarding school called Tiffin Academy. And oh my goodness, it's so juicy, lots of twists and turns, and there are so many scandals going on in this book, not only with the kids but also with the adults, the teachers. It's very, very good. I absolutely loved it. I just devoured it, read it in just a couple of days. Then I just got finished reading. You know what? I'm going to get my stack because I see it right here. Hang on. Sorry, this is lots of bookshelf problems here. Okay. I was attempting to clean. Oh, Nancy said Ellen's latest. The Academy is next after an indie arc, Lucky Penny by Catherine Bittner. That sounds so good. I haven't checked that out. Okay. So well, no, not last book I read. The second to last book I read was The Mad Wife by Megan Church. This one comes out soon, like maybe next week. It still says November 4th, but they've moved her pub date up. So anyway, y'all, this book is so good. And talk about twists that you did not see coming. There's a twist in this book that I was like, oh my goodness. So MKA and I interviewed her for Friends in Fiction. If you don't watch Friends in Fiction, it's a web show and podcast that I have with Mary Kay Andrews and Kristen Harmel and Patty Callahan Henry. And so I read this, so I could interview her. It's fabulous. It's really fabulous. I've been recommending it everywhere. Another upcoming guest on Friends and Fiction is Mitch Albom with his new book, Twice, which I have not read yet, but is on my TBR. And so is John Irving's Queen Esther, which I'm so excited. So I haven't read those two yet, but they sound really good. I've heard nothing but amazing things. This is not, another fall read that you absolutely cannot miss is The Secret of Orange Blossom Cake by Rachel Linden. I love Rachel. I love her books, and they always have just a little bit of magical realism in them, and they're just warm and cozy. They're perfect for fall. Like, this is the perfect way to introduce yourself to fall, is The Secret of Orange Blossom Cake. Beth Melvin says, Reading the Academy, so good. I know, I couldn't put it down. It was so good. Charlotte Copland says, I love Megan Church. Me too. Oh, this is one. Okay. So I've been saving this one because I want to be really, really fresh. So Nicholas Sparks's Remain is coming out October 7th. And I am so lucky and so excited because I get to interview him for his launch in Savannah. So I'm so excited and so looking forward to that. We actually lived in the same town for a number of years and have lived 45 minutes apart for a number of years after that. And I have never met Nicholas Sparks. You would think, you would just, not even as an author, you would just think living in like a really small town, I would have met him. So I'm very excited to meet him. I'm super excited about this book. I've heard really good things about it. And obviously it's going to be a movie. So got to read the book before the movie comes out. Okay, this is not a fall read. This is a spring. I'm like jumping seasons on you guys. But Dog Person by Camille Pagan. Oh, it's so good, you guys. It is almost like I sort of almost can't talk about it without like weeping a little bit. Like, the main character is a dog, and he is well, you know what? I'm not going to tell you because I feel like anything I tell you about it is a spoiler, but if you've ever loved a dog, read this book. It's so excellent. Karen says, finishing Southern by Design. Oh, I loved Southern by Design. That was such a good book. I think I blurbed that, didn't I? I know I read it, but I think I did. Anyway. Okay. I think that's everything in my fall stack. I also just got a really, really, really early read of my friend Kristen Harmel's Meet Me in Paris. That does not come out till next summer, but it's so good. It's going to pull at all your heartstrings, and you're going to love it. It's beautiful. It's kind of like Love Actually. It's like a bunch of different intertwining love stories of Americans in Paris, obviously, which she does so well. So, okay. So now for me, I have a lot of things coming up. One thing that I was really going to announce to you tonight, and I'm not kidding, I got an email like an hour ago, and they were like, hold off. Don't talk about this yet. So I'll just tell you like very vaguely. I don't have a lot of like super like great information that I can reveal yet. But I wrote my first Amazon short story. So I'm very excited for that. So that'll be coming out like sometime in the winter, like late winter, early spring. So I have not written a short story. Well, that's not true. I wrote a short story about something a few months ago that this is the most writery thing I've ever said. I had this dream and I thought it would be a really great story, but I felt like it was a little off brand for me as a novel. And so I wrote it as a short story, and I'm like doing something else with it. But that kind of opened that door again for me writing short stories, which I had not done literally since college. Like, I had not written a short story since college. So that was fun to kind of like dust off my boots. And so I will have an Amazon short coming out in the winter, and I cannot wait to tell you all about it. And the cutie cute title. It's really fun to write that short, but it's hard too. I'm like, you're convincingly making people fall in love in like 60 pages instead of like 400 pages. So that's kind of tricky. But then I do have a spring book coming, which is so exciting, like I normally do. And I have a really cool cover reveal coming at the end of October that I can't wait to tell you guys about. So I'll be announcing that really soon. And then I'm going to have a fall book as well. So I can't wait to tell you more about that and about like what's kind of happening leading up to it. So I'm sorry I came here with like basically no information. I thought I was going to have more information for you about what's coming from me. But if there's a series of mine that you have liked, my fall book might make you excited. I'll tell you that. But I'm so excited about that one. I'm so excited about all of them. I really am. So it's going to be a really fun 2026. It's going to be a busy 2026. We're going to have lots of reading. Okay, Mary Rita Schwartz just finished Anne Napolitano's Within Arm's Reach. I haven't read that. Oh, and you're reading Olga Dies Dreaming, which I also haven't read. It's the Chicago Public Library 2025 One Book, One Chicago selection, and really enjoying it so far. To check out both of those. Sometimes I feel like I don't read things that I really obviously should have because I am always reading for friends and fiction or blurbs, which I love, by the way. So I definitely need to check those out. That sounds great. Well, you guys, thank you for coming to hang out with me tonight for our little end of summer celebration. It was like 100 degrees, not really, but it was really hot in Beaufort today, like 85, 87. So I was kind of like really feeling like it was still summer today. So that was kind of great. But I'm also very, very excited. Nancy said you just teased 3 new pieces from you. That's definitely something to be excited about. I am so excited. Yeah, I just wish I could have given you more information. That was kind of like not, it's kind of like womp womp. But that's okay. But I love the fall almost as much as the summer. I was actually thinking back, my very first author bio when my first book came out, it was like Kristy Woodson Harvey is a North Carolina girl who loves all 4 seasons, which is true. It's true, but summer is definitely my favorite. But I do love fall. Y'all know I love my Tar Heel football, so that's really fun. So, oh, Marianne, thank you for saying that was fun. I had fun too. Just quick and easy for Monday night. Love talking to you guys. And if you came in late and you want to catch up on, anything that I said, again, lots of spoilers, but this will go out to my email list as soon as we're finished. So, thanks. Michelle said, hoping your fall book is in Peachtree Bluff. I can neither confirm nor deny that it is, but I'm very, very excited about it. I mean, like peach tree spice latte. We should like make that a thing, right? Yeah, I'm very excited to go back to Peachtree, maybe if I am. So that would be really, really fun. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me. This was such a fun night. Thanks for bearing with me. This was my first time going live on Substack. So that was kind of nerve-wracking, but you guys were great. I really appreciate you all being here. Oh, and Summer says, will you send the titles of the books you recommended? I absolutely will. Yes. Thank you for saying that. That's brilliant. I'll put them in the body of the email when this, I'm not 100% sure how this goes out. I think it might just like go out now, but I think it also will go in my newsletter this week. So in my newsletter either way, my newsletter this week will have all of those fall titles that I talked about. And we're about to announce the fall Friends and Fiction lineup too, and it is action packed. You guys, you're gonna love it. It's so good. Okay, good night, everybody. Happy fall.